My name is Greg Flesher. I'm a 30-year plastering contractor. My dad and I have a small business, and we've worked throughout northern Illinois, southeast Wisconsin. And I was brought up, I lived on an 80-acre cattle farm. I was brought up that you should work hard, play by the rules, and not brag about yourself. But unfortunately, to become an Illinois politician, you have to do the exact opposite. No, I agree with Bill. The parks are great, but what about the schools? What about, industry? I mean, Waukegan's priorities are completely turned upside down. I mean, we just dump tons of money into parks, but what about schools? The schools are dilapidated, they're crowded, they're crumbling. I've been in most of them. I'm a contractor, I'm a plastering contractor, and I've seen the damage, I've seen the neglect, and we just have our priorities turned upside down. And you look at Lake County, the amount of money that we spend on forest preserves versus, road improvements or road expansions, it just makes it impossible to go to work for anybody. Red, yellow, black, white, brown, you name it. It's just difficult to live here. And I'm just, I never thought I'd go into politics. I'm a working class guy, but I've just had enough. And we need people that can just speak, to people like you and say enough. We want things that are going to make it easier for us. They're going to create opportunities and, help educate our kids and give us a better life. And that's pretty much what it boils down to. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Keith Turner. I'm the independent candidate for Lake County Board. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran. I am a senior project manager and vice president with the International Bank, and I have massive budgetary experience. I'm running to represent the taxpayers of our county, and all of you are in here are taxpayers, whether you pay a property tax or a sales tax. I'm also running to reduce the amount of monies that are being spent. I think there's a lot of waste and a lot of opportunities to rein in spending, particularly with perks at the county board level. No one is entitled to these positions. No one is entitled to salaries and benefits that burden our taxpayers. And the bottom line is everything I say and do and want to represent and talk about all goes back to our taxpayers and how those tax dollars are being spent. Now, I'm a man who has worked for everything that I've earned and everything that I've accomplished in life, and that is something that was instilled in me by my parents and through my military experience. I bring a work ethic to this and professionalism to this position that is sorely needed. I want to thank you.
I'll do my best to thank you for the question. I probably neglected to say that I had served in the North Chicago Public Schools for 25 years prior to coming to the regional office, so I understand the concerns of the school district who would be struggling. In fact, one of my graduates is sitting right here in the front row, and that would be Mayor Leon Rockingham. Always good to see you, Mayor. Funding is a problem at the moment because the majority of the funding comes from the state. We've been helped by the federal government with certain stopgap types of things with the ERA funds and now the jobs bill. However, the state is primarily responsible in any state for the education of its children. And the state, as you might know, is $13 billion in debt. 13 billion, not million, but $1 billion in debt. So we're going to have to work on that, and I will do my best to interact with our legislators and people who can work on that particular function, very meaningfully. But and I realize that we have some districts that are very affluent and some that are not. It's very hard to know how we're going to level the playing field, to be honest with you. Foundation level in Illinois is $6,100 now. For no district should spend less than that. There is no district in Lake County that spends less than that. But a lot of it is dictated by salaries and things of this sort, like any budget is in any business. And indeed, it's a big problem. As I think I said earlier, school funding is one of my top issues to work, as much as I can at my level to do that. We have 139,000 public school students in Lake County this year, and about 12,000 teachers and equal number of bus drivers. So we're working with a lot of factors. And thank you very much for the question. I enjoyed talking to you a little bit more about it.
My opponent, if you ask him this question, would what he will say is, we need to secure the border. Just put up a fence. And we were in front of the Daily Herald. They said, okay, well, what do you do after that? He hemmed and hawed, and they asked him again, he hemmed and hawed. And eventually he says, you know what, I don't know. Now, if you're running for Congress, you either have an answer or you should have an answer. And so the very idea that you don't know the answer to that question, I think, is unacceptable. Here's what I think we should do. Absolutely, we need to secure the border. But we also need to enforce the law with employers so that labor is not exploited. And we should set conditions for folks to be here. And I think here's how you do it. If you've come into the country illegally, pay a fine. Pass a criminal background check. Prove that you can take care of yourself. And then sign up to be here legally and help move our country forward. I think that makes our country stronger. I am someone who is married to an immigrant who has come here 20 years ago and has helped me to build our community. Those are the kind of people we need. We need more people who are working hard, taking care of their families, and trying to support things. I'm happy to have the endorsement of the Lake County News-Sun and the Daily Herald and the Sun-Times, and I appreciate your support as well.
Thank you, Mr. Seals.
Did you ask about the DREAM Act as well? Yes. Okay. Two things. One is I am the only candidate that's actually for a path to citizenship for undocumented workers. I am also the only candidate in this race that's in favor of the DREAM Act. Two issues that I think are very important. But just saying you're for comprehensive immigration reform, just saying you're for a path to citizenship is not enough. We need leaders who are willing to fight and to be true leaders on this issue. So I look forward to working with Senator Durbin. I look forward to working with Senator Durbin, closely with Senator Durbin, to finally focus on comprehensive immigration reform. We talk about what took place in Arizona, these hateful, unconstitutional laws that are being passed. The reason they're being passed piecemeal is because there's a lack of leadership in Washington, D.C. How many years are we going to have to hear, time after time after time, a lack of anything getting done on comprehensive immigration reform? As far as the DREAM Act, and this is a stark difference in this race. I tell people the truth, I tell them how I feel, and my principles and my values matter. Just 2 weeks ago, they asked Congressman Kirk where he was on the DREAM Act. It's been around for 10 years, by the way. Congressman said he hasn't read it yet, which means if you haven't read it and you don't have the courage to take a position, then you're against it. And that is something that we fundamentally disagree on. I think we need to fight for young men and women that want to be a part of this country. And that's also why I'm proud to announce today that Senator Durbin has sent a letter to the President to freeze deportation for individuals that would be covered under the DREAM Act. I would proudly sign that letter if I was the United States Senator. And congratulations to you.
For our second question, we ask Mr. Wasim Iftikhar to please approach the stage on racial